Live.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Dr. Jacqueline King here. And I tell you that we bring exciting people on doing amazing things. And of course, tonight will not disappoint you. I have been following this young man for a minute, especially on TikTok. This is Mr. Lee Hammock, who is just amazing. Uh, First of all, Lee, introduce yourself, and then I'm gonna get right into it.
So my name is Lee Hammock. I go my mental illness on all my social media platforms. I am a clinically diagnosed person. I've been diagnosed clinically with narcissistic personality disorder. I've been in psychotherapy for the past almost 6 years, since October of 2017. And I started my platform in May of 2020 to, raise awareness for mental health disorders, help more people get into therapy, and also, validate the victims and survivors, and the thrivers from the, toxic people, toxic traits, and things of that nature. So that's what I've been gunning towards nowadays.
Okay, so when did you realize? As a child, I don't even think they talked about this. Did you have it? You had to have it as a child, but tell me how you recognized and how you dealt with it as a child.
So so my story starts off in my childhood because, like, and I tell this, like, I don't have any like real memories before I was like 8 or 9 years old. It's kind of like, I tell my therapist this in therapy. It's kind of like I woke up on my eighth birthday. You know, it's just like I was awakened on my eighth birthday. I knew my family. I knew my mom and my aunt, my brother. I knew everybody there, but it was just like I had just got placed there. Like I knew everybody there, but like I was like a blank slate. Pretty much, I knew my family. I knew my relationship with everybody who was around me. But I just felt out of place at that same time. So I get into that dynamic, and I grow up. I just from 8 years old to forever. I've always kind of felt out of place. I felt like I needed to try my hardest to fit in by copying people around me. In particular, my I have a twin brother, so I used to
Oh
copy him a
wow!
lot. So what?
I said, oh wow.
Oh yeah, I have a twin brother, so I used to copy him a lot. And he's not a narcissist. I know people, their question pops up a lot, like, your brother narcissist? No, he's not a narcissist. Yeah. But I used to always try to find a way to fit in and things like that, because it just, the world felt weird. I felt like I always could kind of describe it as feeling like an alien in
Mhm.
human form sometimes, because it's just a weird dynamic that kind of goes on with it. And got up to, what was I, 20? Yeah, I was working at Blockbuster Video, so and
Yeah.
I met my yeah, I met my oldest son's mom at Blockbuster Video, and I just remember it's just like, damn, this is one, good, nice girl, good woman. You know what I mean? I just like, damn, this the one for me. Talked and chatted. Ended up having a baby together, but then just kind of like my mind went to hell. It literally just I literally kind of mentally disconnected from that relationship dynamic, and that just kind of pointed to the picture that, like, every single relationship I had ended the same way. Like every single relationship I had ended literally the same way. I feel like I was madly in love, and then I would feel like I was disconnected from this person one day. I was like, you don't look the same to me. It's kind of like the lights went off, and I would try to move on to somebody else because I wasn't in love with this person anymore. After my wife, I met this other girl, and same kind of dynamic. Relationship ended because I was bored. I was like literally just bored one day. I was like, what am I doing with you? Left that relationship, found another one. It's just all that stuff has been happening my entire life, and then I got married in 2015, and about 2016, the beginning of 2017, my wife called me a narcissist. She's like, it's so hard. We got into a huge argument, and she's like, it's so hard to live with a damn narcissist. And I was like, narcissist? What are you talking about? You're a narcissist. Women are narcissists, like, because they put makeup on and stuff like that. I'm not. I was just talking junk. And then she left, and I got curious about it, and I looked it up, and it was just like, I looked up, I'm like, why did she call me narcissist? I typed in narcissist into Google, and it's like, did you mean narcissistic personality disorder? I was like, what is, I didn't mean that, but like, let's go down this rabbit hole. So hopped on down a rabbit hole, saw the traits and the signs and the symptoms of NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, and it started answering those questions. From my childhood, I've been asking myself, why do I feel different? Why do I think this way? So NPD just provided me like the baseline of who I was, and it kind of helped me wake up. I was like, dang, I am a narcissist. And from that point, therapy, and here we are now, 6 years later.
But you know what? Now, that's interesting because the average, I think, and I'm just finding out about it myself. The average narcissist doesn't even connect with it or don't believe it. Why is that?
Because connect with the word narcissist.
Yeah.
Because narcissist is a derogatory. It's like a pretty much a slur now. People, is you're not complimenting somebody when you call them a narcissist. You're like, you're such a narcissist. I love it about you. Yeah, you never hear that words, you know. So nobody wants to be associated with something that has such negative connotations associated with it. You know, it's just like I'm not a narcissist. I'm a good person, because it's automatically negative. Somebody calls you a narcissist is an insult. It's not a compliment. So narcissistic people don't like being insulted. They don't like being criticized. So they are, you know, of course, going to fight back against that and pretty much project it back onto you. Like I did. Like, you're a narcissist. I'm not a narcissist. You are. And here's why. Boom, 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 boom. There's all listing off your negative qualities that they see, you know. So that helps out a lot, though. Like I said, just for me, I have been asking myself those questions for a long time. And it just so happened, just like, I'm so inquisitive that it just makes sense to me. And I was like, in 2017, it wasn't as big as it is now. So it was a lot of negative stuff about narcissists, but it wasn't like, there's no hope. I mean, it was sad to read about it and understand this is who I was, but it wasn't like your life is over type stuff. It was just like, there's no cure, but you got to put the work in. And, you know, I typically, as a narcissist, I don't like people telling me what to do. Google said, you can't do this, do that. I'm like, you know what? Nah, So therapy, all this other stuff, and just been working on myself for the last, you know, like I said, since October 2017.
That's awesome. So tell me, why is it it appears that the average narcissist has anger management? Is that correct?
So I would say a lot of narcissists do have anger issues because, you know, anger and rage are secondary emotions. And a lot of narcissists do not know how to express themselves in a healthy way. So the anger is covering up how they really feel. You know, if I'm ashamed of something, I can get angry and handle the situation. If I'm, you know, if I'm embarrassed, I can get angry and I can handle the situation. If I get criticized, I get angry and handle the situation. If somebody tries to hold me accountable, I get angry and handle, because anger it works, you know, it works. Anger conditions people. Like, if I'm in a relationship with somebody and I'm consistently getting mad over the same thing, it conditions you not to ask those same questions. It conditions you to change who you are to fit me if you want to be with me. So I don't want to ask him this. He's going to get angry. So you see what I'm saying? So you just don't ask it anymore. You stop talking about the same subjects over and over again because they could trigger an anger explosion.
Yeah, and so very defensive. Now, our audience, please, if you have questions, because this is like, to me, it's a great interview, and so many women and men are going through it. Type your questions in the comments, and we'll try to get to them. Anger and I've seen your videos. They push the blame on you.
Oh yeah.
So talk about that, because I don't get it.
So it's just for me, in my perspective, it's easier to blame you than it is to take accountability, because most narcissists, I call it the shame monster. You know, most narcissists are trying to avoid shame, and shame is monstrous in the narcissist's mind. It's like, it literally is it's like a dark entity. It's not a spirit. It's not the devil, y'all. It's like it's literally just a manifestation of all the embarrassment and criticism and stuff like that, and it attacks you, you know. So it gets into the dynamic where you are trying to avoid shame at all costs. So if you're trying to say something to me, and that what you're saying to me is going to bring me shame, I deflect it back onto you, or I blame you, because if I accept accountability, guess who come knocking on the door? It's shame at the door. Let me in. You know, you don't want to let him in, you know. So it's easy to say, you know, Dr. King, that's your fault. You know, you shouldn't have had me on. I wouldn't have said that. So, I know I said what I said, but like, if you would have had me on, I wouldn't have said that. So it's your fault for having me on.
Wow.
See, it's just, you see what I'm saying? That's how the mind works sometimes. It just gets into that dynamic where it's easier to blame you than it is for me to just be like, you know what, this but now on my journey, 5.5, 6 years later, it still sucks to take accountability, but you know, it's a little easier now to, you know, because it helps.
Because you understand it.
Yeah. understand that taking accountability is not going to kill me. You know, a lot of
Mhm.
people think it's going to make your stomach hurt, bubbles and head hurt. You might get physically sick from accountability, which is crazy, but it does
I
happen
want
sometimes
to
like that.
give a quick shout out to Dee and Christy. Christy has a question. Do you feel your narcissism has blocked you from any opportunities in hindsight? And hi, Dee and Constant. Share the broadcast, please.
Mhm. So in this dynamic right here, do I feel like narcissism has blocked me from any opportunities? Oh yeah, absolutely. Because so a lot of narcissists have this, paranoia accompanies a lot of narcissists. So being paranoid of taking chances and being paranoid of stepping out on your own can hinder you from a lot of opportunities. Like I didn't go to college to play sports because I was scared. Paranoia kicked in. Like, what if I fail? I'm gonna leave my mama by herself, and all this stuff will happen. I'll be embarrassed. I'll be ashamed of my home. So paranoia has kept me from taking opportunities with jobs, school. Going like colleges and things like that. So it's kind of stunted my growth a lot. The narcissism has stunted my growth a lot. But now I feel like where I'm at right now, I feel like I'm entering my prime of my life where, is not stunting me. It's actually catapulting me more because I'm being open and honest about it. And being trying to be more vulnerable and, not trying to avoid shame as much.
Well, I commend you. And if you guys don't follow Lee, man, Lee's got millions. When I say millions of followers all over the place. I stay on TikTok, but I've been looking at his Instagram. He knows I share stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Chrissy has another question. Do you feel really tired correcting your thinking all day? And if so, how do you handle it?
So yeah, it can be exhausting. I say it all the time, actually. That's a good question. It is kind of exhausting being inside of your head all the time because I think a lot of people, when they see my story, they see my platform, they automatically assume that self-awareness, being self-aware of who I am, makes it easier. But I will push back on you and say it actually makes it harder sometimes because it was easier just being me. It's easier just being out here, just living my life with no answers because I was just living authentically. That was authentically me because I didn't have any kind of, anything else to think about. Now the self-awareness kicks in where the things I would have done, I think about it, how it actually affect me, but the narcissistic part of me is still telling me to do it. So it's kind of like is an internal battle with myself
Mm.
trying to, decide what's right or wrong. And it can become extremely exhausting mentally. That's why I just tell people like self-awareness doesn't mean that person would automatically get better. Sometimes self-awareness means they'll get more frustrated and then they'll actually have an excuse for their behaviors now. They'll actually use their diagnosis or their therapy as an excuse to treat you bad. Just like, hey, look, I'm a narcissist. What more do you expect from me?
Wow. That's heavy. That's really heavy. Let me see. I think we got another question. Do you have a good relationship with school friends, your children, your brother? That's what the question is. That's from Shirley Spencer. Frank.
So do you have a good relationship with your school friends? So I would say my relationship. So school friends. I've done a lot of self-isolating here in the last few years. I think I had pretty much had good relationships with people from school I'm 37, so up until I was about 30. Then I did a lot of self-isolating because I wasn't where I wanted to be in life, so I stopped being around a lot of people. I started kind of isolating myself and kind of getting away from people at the same time. So school friends, not so much so. My children, yeah, I feel like my relationship with my children has improved, exponentially over the last few years with my therapy. I feel like all my children have seen the benefit of that right now at different levels because I do have my oldest is 14, I have my middle is 6, and my youngest is 2. So I feel like my oldest has seen the most change. My youngest, my middle, he's 6 years old. He see me now. My youngest, she don't see the old me, because she's 2 years old. So yeah, I'd say children, yes. And then what was the last part of it? My brother. Oh yeah, my brother. Me and his relationship has gotten a lot better. I actually have, a bunch of brothers, but I have a twin brother. Our relationship has gotten better over the last few years. We've always been close. We've been, grinding together and whatnot. But over the last few years, due to my, being self-aware more and just talking more and being open and honest more, I feel like our relationship has gotten, it's gotten better on a deeper level, so to speak.
So my question is, let's I found that it seems that a lot of narcissists, women who are in relationship with narcissists, or end up in domestic violence situations. Is that correct, or do you notice that?
So, say women in narcissistic relationships. So a lot of
Right.
women,
Yes.
yeah. So sometimes women, they end up with narcissistic people. They cross the threshold into physical violence. Yeah, they do end up in domestic violence relationships where it's hard for them to leave. I literally, like I said, I do my Zoom coaching. I talk to women like that almost every single day. They'll say they started off really good, everything they ever look for in a partner, and then all of a sudden it starts going downhill, and somehow they end up getting hit. It's like, well, it got physical very recently. Like, he smacked me or he punched me. The worst is he choked me. I was like, oh, what? So it does cross the threshold of physical abuse a lot of times. Not all the time, but a lot of times it does.
That's deep. Alma says, can you give the definition of narcissistic personality disorder?
The
definition.
That's the definition of narcissistic personality disorder. So it's different. I mean, I can read it for you, want me to, but it really is just a mental health disorder, where people have, a lot of people who have this same disorder have an unusually high sense of self-worth externally. They present themselves to have internally they're insecure people, but externally they, present themselves as super confident, super successful, super, maybe hyper masculine, hyper, men and whatnot, women as well. But like, they present themselves as super confident people, but really beneath the surface, like really surface level, they're insecure people. It's just like narcissistic people typically lack empathy. Not all the time, but typically they lack empathy and things of that nature as well. Like, they don't care if you cry, and things like that. They seek validation from pretty much from anywhere, online, in person, whatever, and that's pretty much the main part of it right there. I mean, I feel like Google can give you a way deeper definition than I can out the top of my head.
I'll post it because I've read it. Yeah, let's talk about that empathy for a minute, because I mean, I met somebody, and I love your little skits. I met somebody, and I had a death in my family, and they were like, so, like,
yeah,
everybody dies.
Yeah, if it's not affecting them directly and if it's not affecting them directly and hurting their life, then typically they don't care about it. You know what I mean? Typically, if it doesn't affect me directly, then why would I bother with it? If it's not hurting me right now in this moment, it's not my problem, why would I bother with it? I say this: narcissistic people typically have, very, low emotional capacity, so they don't have enough to go around to deal with yours. Your emotions, your emotional need become like an inconvenience to them, to narcissistic people. Like, because when you're crying over your somebody who passed away, now I gotta deal with this. What happened? Now I had a long day already. What happened to you? It's like, my mom died. Oh dang, how old was she? She was 100. Oh, okay. How long do you expect her to live? The average lifespan is.
Right. You are so. I laughing, but I love you guys have to go check him out on TikTok.
The average lifespan is 73, so she got 30 extra years. You should be blessed. You should be blessed. That's
I can't with you.
But that's how it goes though. That's how they do. They'll disconnect from you like that in the moment.
Kathleen, my girl is on. Kathleen Trigg. Hey, Queen. I had to shout her out. That's my girl.
Is that Kathleen Trigg?
Yes.
I see Clarissa Turner. Is that Clarissa Turner I went to school with?
That's my partner in crime. Oh yeah, I have to give you a shout out, Aggie Pride. I'm from Greensboro.
Aggie Pride. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's from Greensboro. He lives in the town I was born in. Durham.
Yes.
Bull City.
Bull City.
All right. Do you guys have any questions? Because I can keep going. As far as, so now you're in therapy. There's no medicine. They don't have a drug. I know mental illness you could take they can give you some kind of drugs for, like, if you're depressed or something like that. There's nothing for this.
So I feel like in this situation right here, like just for me, I don't take any type of medication, anything like that, because my symptoms are not that out out the door. But I do think some people who deal with the personality disorder, they might have underlying like personality disorders or something like that, like bipolar or something like that, that they can take medication for. But me personally, I don't. I have the personality disorder, but we working on this now. I just took another psyche eval, so we're working on what comes next. But so I'm not on any kind of like any kind of medication right now. I don't think I'll ever be on anything. I'm not wild like that.
One of your skits you did when she was saying that the guy said he was cheating, but he's not going to cheat no more. He's done. He's going to church. That was a good one. Talk about the church girls.
So I say this on my channel a whole bunch, that religious and spiritual manipulation are 1000% real, especially in in every single culture, but especially in the culture we have going on right now, like in America. Like a lot of people will use church to keep people in toxic relationships. They'll just say, hey, instead of just leaving me and like, I know I cheated on you, I done beat you up, and I had a baby outside the marriage, and I had 2 babies outside of the marriage. But you know what? God don't believe in divorce. So let's go talk to the pastor about this right now. Pastor gonna tell you that you should need to stand by your person. You need to stand by, through, what happened to death do us part? What happened to through thick and thin? Through better and through better and through worse. This is the worst right here. This is the worst. I had 2 kids. I can't have 3. I got a vasectomy right now. You know what I mean? So they start pointing out the good stuff about them, and they'll start going to church. I'm actually gonna do another video about this, because I just saw another video. This guy was cheating on his wife, left his wife for someone else, but was still sending his wife Bible verses and asking her how he could pray for her. How can I pray for you today? They use that to keep you in. They use that to keep you in a bond. They use that like, look, don't use your own discernment. Let God punish me. You don't need to punish me. Don't you believe in God? Let God punish me, not you. You're not God. So like I said, if they don't let people use the Bible to keep you in a toxic relationship where you're being abused, like mentally, emotionally, verbally, whatever type of abuse you're experiencing, don't let biblical or people use the Bible to keep you in that toxic dynamic, because they absolutely will. They 100% will. And a lot of people fall for it because they are, they want to be perceived that, they want to feel like they're a good person because they're worthy of God's grace and things like that. So I'll give it to God, but God did give you free will to decide what you want to do. So it's just kind of like, you got to kind of, do what's best for you in those situations. Don't let the Bible or somebody's interpretation of the Bible, because they'll nitpick the Bible. They'll pick the verses and stuff that benefit them in the moment. But if you combat them with like, James chapter 1, verse 3 says this, you're like, but look, chapter 7 say this. Chapter 7 come later, and later is better. So, he wrote this, he was in a better sense of mind. So don't let them do that.
And I could be wrong, but it seems to me that people with narcissistic personality disorder have very high IQs. Is that true?
Some of them do. I just feel like everybody's gonna be different on this spectrum, because I've met some very, very unintellectual narcissistic people.
You said unintellectual.
It's just, I would say I've met some out of there ones. Like, But that's the thing about it is you don't have to be smart to manipulate somebody, and you don't have to be dumb to be a victim of manipulation. You just have to care enough. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You just have to care enough you have to care enough about the person that you're dealing with to be manipulated by them, or believe in what they're saying enough. They don't have to be smart. They don't have to be smarter than you. They can literally have, a 4th grade education, and you could be, a doctoral level clinical psychologist, and they manipulate you because you love them and care about them. And you want to believe the truth. You're like, oh, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. So there are some narcissists that are super smart. And they're dangerous ones, because they can talk you out of anything, because they'll stay calm while talking to you. Like, look, I know I cheated on you, but I'm remorseful. You said I'm not yelling, I'm not screaming, I'm not, I'm calm right now because I'm at peace, because I love you so much. And I know just like the love brings me peace. So here we go. Let's ride with it.
You have some of the best interviews. Christy says, you know, and now I saw the one you said on this. Christy says God can heal mental illness, but people need to understand words and works aren't the same. We already know that because you said that. The
Mhm.
one that I shared, you said faith without works is dead. Isn't that what you said?
Oh yeah, faith without works is, you know, it is dead. Like you can believe in God and pray to God, but if you're not putting the work in, there's nothing going to happen. You know, I can believe believer in God, I can pray, I can read the Bible every single day, but if I'm not putting the active work in, where my miracle going to come from, or is my blessings going to come from? You know what I mean? It just gets to those dynamics where you see how it's going on in these circumstances. Like God ain't gonna cure your narcissism on the couch. Like you can, if you going home every day, get on the couch and not going to therapy, you know what? Hey baby, I prayed today. God gonna heal me. You know, God gonna stop my cheating. I didn't go to therapy. I prayed. I canceled the therapy appointment because I read all the Genesis.
I
I read all the Genesis. I ate a BLT and I prayed. So God got me. You know, so if you and does that work sometimes? Yeah, it works. It's like at least you prayed, you know. So they had to put the work in. You just can't pray. Prayer, I just don't feel like prayer is enough without the work behind it. Because I've been saying I've read the entire Bible myself, and I've been putting the work in behind it as well. Going to therapy, I go to therapy, and then I pray every night. You know, God's like, look, I saw you put that work in, so here's some dash of blessing right here. Here's a sprinkle. You know, give me a little sprinkle every day. So I feel like I get better every day from the little sprinkle that I put because I put the work in. You know.
Aisha, I think it's Aisha. She said, "Look Lee up on LinkedIn. He gets ground. This is good because we need to discuss narcissistic personality disorder in the Black community. We need to discuss it in all communities. It is not a black and white thing. It is a thing that anybody can get. How do you know if the narcissistic spouse has truly changed?" That's from Kathleen.
So for me in this dynamic right here, because I know a lot of people see my relationship that I'm still married and whatnot, and my family is still together. I just feel like you have to ask yourself, what has this person like? Because apology, you know, I say the only true apology is consistent change behavior. You know, I just feel like that's the only way you can really apologize is to be consistent, you know, in your behavior and your change, like consistent, not one day, not 1 week, not 1 month. It's forever. So me personally, I'll be in therapy for the rest of my life, and I'm fine with that. You know, my wife can come in here right now. She's like, "Hey, I'm leaving." Would I be angry? Oh yeah, I'd be a little hot, you know. But would I still go to therapy on the 24th of this month? Yeah, I would absolutely be in therapy. This is my, so hey, got something else on the plate, got to work through. Just hold off on that, you know, the other stuff we talking about. Got something else got to work on first. But I would still be in there, you know. I just feel like consistent change behavior, and it's also how you feel. Even if they go to therapy, even if they start putting the work in, how do you feel about it? Because sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes it's too late for you. Sometimes you've been waiting for them to change for 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years. They ain't gave you nothing, but all of a sudden you want to walk out the door and they're just like, hey, you know what? I go to therapy. What? Now? Because I'm leaving now. And I always tell this is the kicker right here. This is the one you have to be careful about right here. Take the relationship off the table. Take it off the table. Just say, hey, look, I really want you to get better, but I don't think it's going to work out between us. So keep going to therapy, and we can co-parent. We can be friends later on down the road. They will reveal their true intentions right then and there. I promise you. Take the relationship off the table.
Oh, that's deep. That's deeply.
Because you take off the table. I'm just saying, like, hey, if they come to you and just like, hey, I've been in therapy for a whole month. Can we at least have dinner or something like that? And then you just be like, you know what? I really appreciate you going to therapy. I think it's the best route for you, but like, it's not for me. I don't think we're gonna be together no more. Like, keep going to therapy, keep working on yourself, and maybe we can be friends down the road. They're not gonna take that very well. If they're not really working on themselves, they're not going to take that very well. I've been in therapy for you. I've been doing this for you, because they have to want to do it for themselves. Like I said, my wife can come here and she's like, it's over, and I will still be going because I know I need it. Other people who are not really being genuine about their, like, trying to be genuine about their change, about their work, they would stop going because they're not doing it for themselves. They're doing it for you. They're doing it to try to get you back. They have to actually want to work on themselves. Yeah. Somebody said taking it off the table can be dangerous. That's why I say you have to be careful, because they might snap. Don't do that. You do that in a public setting, you know, like you in the police department parking lot, where they get curious, like, why'd you want to meet me here of all places? We could have sat down in the restaurant. Well, I know Sergeant Thomas over here, you know, he's been friends with me for a long time. Just you have to protect yourself, y'all.
What about cheating? Because you said something earlier. You know, you would get bored with a woman and then you would go to the next one. So you're actually looking for something. Talk about that.
So this is the thing. I've never been like a real it just hasn't been my thing, the whole cheating thing. But I would just get disinterested. Like, I know boredom is this easy word. I would just get disinterested. Like, I would be madly in love, but then like something would happen and my mind would just kind of shut off for this person. I'll be looking at this person like, why am I with you? There's somebody out there better for me. I might not break up with you. I might not leave you, but I will be, you know, testing the waters elsewhere, you know, because a lot of people don't understand what's going on inside of their head. So they might not actually be in love with you anymore, but they might actually stay in the relationship with you because they don't know what's really going on. They're just like, I don't feel the same anymore, but like, I like having you around. So I'll keep you around. And then like, sometimes they'll actually seek pleasure elsewhere. They'll cheat on you. And then sometimes, if they're not ready for you to leave, they'll cheat on you, and then they'll try to come back to you. They'll cheat on you, and they'll keep doing the same thing over and over again. So it's like the cheating doesn't get better, y'all. Unless they, like I said again, unless they go to some intense psychotherapy and work on themselves and actually genuinely apologize and have remorse for you, and offer you anything, and you know, to get you to trust them and just be consistent with it, they'll do it again. They will absolutely do it again.
Deborah says, if he doesn't admit he has a problem, how can he be helped?
They can't, because the first part of being helped is admitting that that a problem exists. Because that in that circumstance right there, if I don't admit to a problem, like if they don't actually admit to having a problem and they agree to go to therapy, I call that performative therapy. They're just going in there to put on a performance. It's like the theater, you know, they're sitting down there and they're like, hey, Lee, what do you have to say? Action. And they turn into this character in therapy. They start to blame you. And sometimes in marriage counseling, they can turn their therapist, their counselor, against you. You have two people against you now.
Oh, wow.
The marriage counselor be vibing with them.
Crazy.
Now, you know what? You know, Dr. King, I believe Lee on this one, because he sounds like he's been authentic. Like, why don't you work on yourself and stop living in the past? You know, imagine the counselor saying that to you after you. Imagine the counselor saying that to you after you done sat in here and poured your heart out. It's like, you know what? You do have to stop living in the past. I know he done cheated on you 14 times and had 3 kids, but that's in the past, is it not? You know, I've heard some horror stories from people saying that they left therapy, wanted to take their own life. It's like, you know what? I thought I was the problem.
Wow.
Because I told you I do my one-on-ones over Zoom. I talked to a woman the other day. Somebody from the suicide hotline gave her my YouTube page.
Oh wow.
She called them. She's like, my head is messed up. I don't want to be here anymore. And then she started telling them their story. She's like, hey, look, check this guy out on YouTube. It'll make a lot of sense for you. And I did a one-on-one with her. She was like, and yeah, I'm good. So it helps bring clarity and peace to understand what you're going through, because some of these times these people can drive you crazy. I'm gonna keep it hot with you. They'll drive you crazy.
And there's a great article, and I'll have to post it, that I read that really helped me on narcissistic personality disorder, because I had no clue what it was. Mm-hmm. And honestly, the person that I was dealing with had every single line. I'm not even kidding. Yeah. I'm like, every line?
The ride.
Yes, every line. And so, because they have you thinking you're crazy.
Absolutely. You'll be feeling like you're the actual issue in a lot of these circumstances. And that becomes the problem, because if you listen to them long enough, you'll start to believe it. You know, mm-hmm. If somebody repeats it longer, if somebody is whispering something in your ear or saying it repeatedly to you, they condition you to believe it. So you might start to accept it as your truth. Like, well, Lee said this to me 100 times, so it must be true. I must be crazy. I must be ungrateful. I must be unappreciative. Mm-hmm. He might can find somebody better than me, so I need to tighten up. So
and it's never enough. You can never. To me, you can't do enough.
Oh no,
that's
true though. Yeah, it's just true, and I say this a lot. There is nothing you can do. Nothing you do will ever be good enough for a narcissist or toxic person. It just won't. You'll drive yourself crazy trying to be more than what you actually are, trying to make somebody happy that doesn't appreciate it. You just absolutely will. Yeah, I went to high school with her, and I went through all school. Clarissa Turner, what's going on, girl? How you doing?
What
three.
about the children? What effect? I'm talking about, you're in therapy, so
Mm-hmm.
you're probably okay, but the parent that doesn't go to therapy, what effect does this usually have on the children?
The parent that doesn't go to therapy can actually traumatize their children, you know, because typically it's passed down. I know it might not be, you know, direct in your DNA or genealogical. It might not be passed down through your bloodline, but it can, you know, I do feel like generational trauma is real. So in my own personal story, like I didn't know my grandpa. My grandpa died. From what I knew, my grandpa died when my own father was like 8 or 9 years old. That's all I knew. And through my own therapy journey, because my father, I know my dad, you know, he just wasn't I tell you, he wasn't a bad dad. He was just wasn't a dad. He was just like more of a person, a friend. You know, you see him every once in a while, he was cool, you know, but not just like, he's just so disconnected. Nothing you did was good enough for him. You see what I'm saying? He said, it created me. Nothing I did was good enough for my dad, you know, try to get that approval and that validation. And it never worked out that way. But the way the circumstances go is that I was in therapy and pretty much hating my father, having daddy issues. You know what I mean? And my therapist was like, "What about your grandpa? What about him?" I don't know him. I can't talk to my dad about him. My grandma passed away. Who know him? You know? So I just took a chance one day. I'm on ancestry.com. I look it up. I put my grandma's name in, my dad's name in, all this stuff, and I found his name. I was like, "Oh, my grandpa's name. I know his name." Yeah, you know, I was like, "Cool. That's interesting. I know my grandpa's name." And it was his death certificate, you know, and his death certificate. I was like, oh, this is the interesting document right here. So I look at his death certificate, and it was like cause of death, you know, himself.
Oh wow.
He was 27 years old, healthy man, healthy black man. Went downstairs at 5:30 in the morning on a Monday, shot himself in the head.
Oh wow.
You know, my 8-year-old dad went downstairs and found his dad with a gunshot wound in his head, traumatized him. He shot his passed down right there, you know. So they called my dad to be something. He's trauma. There's no therapy for young black kids back in the day. You know, no therapy for my grandpa back in the day. So he took his own life. My dad traumatized my dad. So you see how it's passed down to me through that. But I was talking to my therapist very recently, and my therapist said, she was just asking me. She was like, do you have any kind of schizophrenia or anything on your father's side of the family? I was like, I don't know my grandpa. My dad, I feel like he cool. He know has schizophrenia. I said, my grandpa killed himself though. And she was like, and she was talking. She's like, well, that makes sense because like your schizophrenia is like, I don't have schizophrenia, you know, the mental illness or whatnot. But she's like, it's higher than normal. It peaks. And she said, it makes sense because I think your grandpa had undiagnosed schizophrenia. And that's schizophrenia can be genetic. So it's kind of like skip my dad, and you know, I got some genes from it, you know. So that could actually make me more susceptible to a personality disorder. So I have narcissistic personality disorder from abandonment and neglect. So it all was passed down from that genealogical tree. You see what I'm saying? So it's in the family tree, but it didn't have to be. But you know, that's what the point of me right now is to try to put an end to that by going to therapy, so I don't pass it down to my two sons, my daughter, you know, and stuff like that, so I can stop it. And then my platform is hoping to wake people up so they can stop it. You know, I have people that I know in my real life traumatizing their kids and refuse to admit it. They just still battling with the baby mama or ex-wife, just battling. I was like, they don't help the kids. These battles don't help the kids.
It's bad. And what I read was that a lot of it comes from either over criticizing or overprotective. That's what I read in the article. They said if you know nothing that your child does is good enough.
Yeah.
You know, so that causes the narcissistic. That's one of the causes of narcissistic personality disorder.
Yeah. I think I get the neglect end of that. But you can see how it's also that can cause it, but it's also your perception of your youth as well. Because I have a twin brother. He's not a narcissist, you know. Why did we get the same parents, same thing. He just perceived it differently than I did. You see what I'm saying? And it's just like I set in my perception for 30 years. He was just like cool. He would just
It's
live
how
his
you
life.
internalize it.
Yeah, it's how you internalize and how you grasp onto it. Yep, and you grow into it. It's how you water your seed. You know.
Wow. This is so good. The screen's going so fast. Paula said she was raised by a narcissist and she married one. I began reading about it and learning the practice of, I don't know what that is.
Reiki.
Okay, I know nothing about that. And studied. This helped me. What is that, Lee?
I actually don't know Reiki. Wait, I think it's some kind of massage energy thing. From what I've heard, I don't have no experience in it. I just hear it all the time. It's just like I did Reiki, so I've heard that actually helps people in certain dynamics and whatnot. I haven't done it myself or partaken in it, but I've actually heard a lot of people talking about it. I just haven't done any kind of research into it.
Okay, well, I've never heard of it, but this is really good. What advice can you give to someone who is struggling whether or not to leave a narcissistic relationship? I guess
the main thing I think a lot of people struggle with in these relationships, just from talking to so many people over the last few years, is that they feel like they're abandoning the person. They feel like they're abandoning the person. They're giving up on the person. That person that they're with, narcissist or not, has conditioned them to feel like everybody else has left me. So why don't I expect you to do the same thing? And you, with all the empathy that you might have, you're just like, I'm going to teach you what love is. I'm not going to abandon you. I'm going to stay with you. Sometimes, y'all, you got to realize your empathy is being weaponized against you.
Mm-hmm.
Your empathy can be formed into a sword and they can stab you in the back with it. So that dynamic works a lot of ways. So don't feel, I know they make you feel guilty about leaving a relationship, or if you have kids, I don't want them to not see their dad, or I don't want to see their dad or their mom or whatever. Like, they can see them, but I just feel like you understand the dynamic. Like, if you stay in a toxic relationship with kids, 100% of the time they're in this toxic relationship dynamic. 100% of the time in the same household. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If you leave, you have to split custody, 60-40, 50-50, whatever. At least they get a reprieve from it. At least they get a little break. They might have to go to mom or dad's house for 3-4 days a week or something like that. But at least they got 3-4 days a week with some sanity and some validation, some type of emotional security. Don't feel guilty about picking you, choosing healthy, choosing the chance to actually go out there and get the love that you deserve. And another thing, a lot of people feel like they stay in these relationship dynamics because they feel like they got so much time invested into it. I don't want to waste 10 years in my life. I already been in it for 10 years. I already been in it for 20 years. Why would I leave now? I don't want anybody else to take my hard work that I've been trying to mold this person into something. I don't want anybody else to get my artwork. I don't want nobody else to take credit for my painting. So they stay, even though you're unhappy. You just want anybody else to experience this person because they have good qualities, but they're treating you horribly. So you hold on, and then you end up losing yourself. So don't be afraid. I say it's not walking away. It's actually, choosing yourself. You can choose yourself and choose the chance of happiness. Yes, absolutely. Self-preservation, 1000%. Yes.
I love that. And I wish that every woman, every woman could hear this, because I think so many women and men, I guess, are in these relationships and they don't know how to get out. They don't they don't even realize that it's destroying them, because it really is. And so the controlling part. So, when I think of narcissists at its highest level, I think of, do you remember Jim Jones, the cult leader?
Yes. Kool-Aid.
Yeah, that's the one. That's, to me, the highest level of narcissism. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's the cult narcissist. The cult narcissist dynamic, which is extremely, extremely dangerous, extremely, extremely toxic. Because it's not just one narcissist; it's a cult of them. Yeah, it can get wild in those type of dynamics right there.
Yeah, because they control everything. They control what you eat, what you think. So being that we are a Christian organization, I'm just saying, be careful about some of these churches you go to. I just put it out there. Be careful, screen it. How much control do they want over your life? This is real. This is real talk right here. Do they tell you when you can eat, drink, sleep? That's controlling.
Yes.
That is a narcissistic leader.
Yeah. it's super. A lot of churches nowadays you can see can be super. Not a lot. Some of them can be super. There's some good churches out there.
Yes.
But some of them can be extremely toxic. I've heard a bunch of church horror stories that I was like,
I've
what?
been in one.
the pastor cheating on his wife and got the pastor giving marriage counseling to the husband and the wife were having marital problems. The husband suspected that his wife was cheating on him, and they went to the wife was like, let's go talk to the pastor. Pastor's like, look, man, the Bible says this. Convinced the husband to stay with the wife. Wife got pregnant, had a baby. The baby was the pastor. The wife was cheating with the pastor. So I was just like, and you know what happened when everybody in the church found out? They gathered around the pastor and gave him a hug and prayed
That
for
is
him.
correct. That's correct. Yeah, and some of these women, they look the other way and act like this is real.
It's
Wild. Real talk.
That's a real story too, y'all. That's a real story. Y'all can Google that. I think it was in Georgia. I don't know, forgot the pastor's name, but like he was literally giving marriage counseling to his affair partner and had a baby by her. And it was just a rough experience.
So I just say, for all you queens, be careful, not just in your relationship with men and dealing with anybody. I mean, you can have a narcissistic boss. You know that, Lee.
Yeah, you can definitely have a narcissistic boss, but what you just said, be careful dealing with anybody. Yeah, y'all just don't let, just don't let, the Bible dictate your relationship dynamic. I just feel like you can use it as the foundation or some guidelines, but don't let that just be the rule of law in your life. I just feel like, because it's open to interpretation. Like you can go to the wrong church and get a different you can go to 5 different churches and get a different interpretation of the same verse from every church.
Sure,
you see what I'm saying? You absolutely can. I just hate seeing people get manipulated by God. It's like, God, I know he cheated on me. He had 4 kids, but I'm gonna pray with him. I was like, what? You can pray for him when you leave him and go do your thing, And it just gets a lot. It gets worse, y'all. I just hate religious and spiritual manipulation because, like I said, God is the only reason I'm standing in front of y'all right now, being able to speak to you like I do. That's really the only reason, because I like I said, I was super lost and I didn't have nowhere to turn to except for like reading the Bible. And I feel like the Bible literally changed my life. And somebody said it happened in my church. So that's a real story. Somebody said it happened in my church. Yeah, that is absolutely a real story. And the crazy thing about that story is I talked to another woman that the pastor was cheating with. That's why I was just like, he wasn't just cheating with her, he was cheating with her.
Right.
Just watch out, y'all. Just this is my warning for y'all. Just because somebody goes to church does not make them a good person. Just let them be right there. Just because somebody if y'all on online dating profiles, you see somebody says Christian, be careful.
No, I'm glad you brought that up.
People put Christian in their profile all the time. Just be a good person. They take a picture you see their profile picture, like they smiling with a Bible in their hands. Yeah.
You're so great.
Just cheesy.
But you know what? Something you said, and we're going to be wrapping up. And I never thought about this. So all these women have put all their business on Facebook. Now this is what I'm taking this right from your script. And then the guy looks at it, and then when he hooks up with you, he knows everything about you, and you just feel like it's his soulmate. Talk about that, Lee, because I saw that. I was like, that was great.
Yeah, because like with online dating, Facebook, social media, stuff like that, you put too much information out there. You absolutely give the blueprint to manipulate you. You know what I mean? You absolutely give people the blueprint to become everything you've ever been looking for. So if you put your favorite songs, your favorite restaurants, your favorite movie, your favorite hobbies, and things like that, what you like and dislike in a man or a woman, you put that online. Like if I'm interested in you, I can study it. I can cram for a date with you. It's like an overnight. I'm like, I'm cram. She's like, Usher, Moving Mountains. I'm moving mountains. I'm singing the song. Learn how to sing it. The song playing in the background. I call you the first time. Moving Mountains. Oh, you playing Moving Mountains? Oh yeah, I like Usher. Usher's my favorite artist. Oh really? Mine too. Like wow, I didn't know that. I knew it. I saw that. You see what I'm saying? It just, you make it easy for people to manipulate you when you put it all online. Make people earn your information. Take your time, slow down. If this is forever, why are we rushing?
And you did say something about they'll tell you they love you like quickly sometimes.
Oh yeah. Maybe on the first date, I've heard some crazy story. On the first date, they tell you just like, I know we've been here at Olive Garden for about an hour and 20 minutes, but I feel a spark. I feel like, I feel a spark. It is not that birthday cake over there. It's between us. I love you. It's weird if I say that, but they'll say it to you. I heard some people say some wild stuff like that because it is, it can get wild because they will absolutely tell you stuff like that. They'll do things like that to, they'll tell you they love you. And a lot of times, and this is how it works, a lot of times you feel like you are deserving of love. You feel like you're a good person. You're just like, why wouldn't somebody want to love me on the first night I meet them? You start asking yourself, you start telling yourself, like, you're like, wait, I'm a good person. I'm a catch. Why wouldn't somebody tell me that they love me on the first date? That makes sense to me because I'm lovable. I love you too. Gotcha. No.
Oh wow, I love this, Lee. I thank you so much for coming. Oh yes, you have clothing, a line.
Oh yeah, I just myself called him wifey right away. Somebody said called her wifey right away. That happens, y'all. They will call you wifey. They'll give you a pet name immediately. You be honey boo,
wifey, yeah,
honey boo boo, wifey on the first date.
Linda Gray, my girl, is on. That's my other partner. When I see him, I call him out. Hey, Linda.
Oh.
So talk about your self-love stuff.
You
got anything that you can show?
Oh, so this is my brand right here, y'all. My self-love brand, because I'm all about self-love and rebuilding yourself, your inner self-worth and things like that. So this is my self-love logo right here. I love me. I'm good. I love me. I'm good. It's about detailing these stages in your healing journey, or trying to rekindle the love within yourself, trying to relight your own inner fire, so you don't depend on somebody else to have to light your fire. Because if somebody else has to light your fire, they can control you. You'll always be seeking that light. You'll always be seeking that spark from that person because they light you up. If you can light your own internal fire with the self-love part, you can win that way. You don't need anybody else. You want somebody else, but you don't absolutely need them to show you love and stuff like that. So that's what my self-love brand is about. Like I said, it's about healing journey. And this right here is my self-love journal. It's a self-love healing journal right here. This is on Amazon right here, y'all. It's the I Love Me, the self-love journal by Lee Hammond. It's literally all about self-love, regaining your self-love, your internal love and stuff like that. You pretty much talk yourself into loving yourself again. Because a lot of times when you need toxic relationships, you're raised by a toxic parent, you have a toxic relationship at work, your boss is toxic, you lose that self-love and your self-worth. So that's what this stuff is meant to help you regain. So I go to the gym in my shirt, my self-love tank tops and my my book. I'm actually filling it out myself. I started filling mine out myself. So it's a journey, y'all, self-love journey.
And journaling is really good anyway.
Yes.
Because you can reflect back on it.
Yep.
And that's...
I read some kind of wild statistic that said you're more likely to remember stuff when you write it down. So journaling helps you out so much more than just, just saying it out loud. Like, I'm worthy, I'm good, I'm worthy, I love me. It's just like writing it down. You start to believe it more,
Let me ask you something in journaling, and I'm not a big journaler, but like if you write down, okay, he hit me today. Tomorrow he told me he loved me. If you write all that stuff down, is that good?
If you write that stuff down and I feel like it's good.
Reflect back,
yeah. Because what you just said, read that out loud to yourself. Like, he told me he loved me. He hit me tonight. Like, I have a black eye. I'm putting steak on my face. But then in the morning, he woke up and acted like nothing happened. He told me he loved me. Read that 10 times and see what happened. He hit you. Then he told you he loved you just to soften the blow. So you wouldn't tell on him because you think, you start to think you deserved it because he tell you make me act like this. You make me hit you. You made me yell at you. You made me do this type of stuff. It's your fault. But if you write that down, you got hit and he told you he loved you the next day. You understand that's manipulation. I feel like writing it down, rereading it to yourself when you have a sound mind helps you out, as opposed to reading it in that moment of after you've been hit. Is different. And once you've calmed down and you can actually read the stuff and make sense of it, it helps you out, in the long run.
And then if you do it every time, then you can look back and say, oh my God, he hit me like 5 times in a week or 5 times in a month. This can't be healthy.
Oh no, if you getting beat 5 times in a week, that sound like a job. That's not like you clocking in to get beat up. It's just like nobody deserves that, y'all. It's not if they're hitting you like that. Because I know a lot of people experience that and don't tell. Because I'm telling you, since I've started this journey, I've talked to so many women victims of domestic violence that don't tell because they feel like they deserve it. You know, I did call him out on his cheating, and then he smacked me. So I feel like if I wouldn't have called him out on his cheating, I wouldn't have gotten smacked. So it's my fault. I get it because does it make sense? Yeah, it makes sense when you say it out loud, but like think about it on a deeper level. What's the real issue here? It wasn't you calling them out; it's the initial cheating that they wanted to cover up. You see, that's the dynamic that a lot of people experience and go into right there. It's all to blame themselves. It's not y'all's fault, y'all. It really is. It's not how a narcissist or a toxic person treats you is not a reflection of who you are. It's really the external representation of how they feel about themselves internally.
I commend you, Lee. I really do. I'm probably one of your number one fans.
I appreciate that. I really, seriously, I do. I had a woman come to me in the YMCA. She was like 75 years old and gave me a hug the other day. I was like, she's like, I know you from, it was a younger woman at first. She was about my age. She was like, you from TikTok. Like, my mama sent you my video. She sent me your video. Like, your mama on TikTok? You about my age. You know, her mama was like, she was like, Mama, this Lee Hammond right here from TikTok. There's nothing here. She dropped her purse and ran up to me and gave me a hug. I was like, you know what? I love this shit. I said, you know what? This means so much.
Well, you're doing a good thing because most people won't talk about it, won't even admit it. So that's why I was really glad when you told me yes, that you could come on the platform. Make sure you follow. Tell them all the platforms, or if you have one website, how can they follow you, Lee?
I mean, you can find me at mentalhealness.net, or you gotta see my username right here, Lee. It's at Mental Healness on all platforms. You can just find me on there. It's Mental Healness because I'm trying to heal the mental illness, y'all. That's all it's about. When I use the word illness, it makes it sound like it's devastating. So healness. It's healing here. It's a healing journey for us all.
Thank you so much, Lee. And
thank you for having me on.
Everyone for tuning in. You know how to find Lee. I'll be on there because I'll be sharing. I share his TikToks everywhere. God bless you all. God bless you, Lee, and your beautiful family. Give your love to the family, and we will see you the next time. God bless.
All right. Thank you.